Time now for our rants and raves, starting with Dan Kennedy.
I have a rant for the media in general, especially the American media, for giving almost no coverage whatsoever to a horrifying attack in Afghanistan this week that claimed the lives of two Afghan journalists. In the midst of a live shot, Shamim Faramaz and his cameraman, Ramiz Ahmadi, were killed by a suicide bomber while they were reporting from the scene. On another bombing. Yeah. And, you know, this has been, I did a little Googling. This got considerably more coverage overseas than it has
I didn't know about it until you brought it to my attention.
And I know that certainly it's all Trump all the time, and I understand the reasons for that, but this should have gotten more coverage than it did.
Completely agree. Callie?
I am raving for WBEZ. That is the public radio station in Chicago. They have, I believe, mastered the podcast that really looks at local issues that are substantive about local folks. So I became aware of them with the first podcast they did called Making Oprah. Then they did Making Obama. This last one is called 16 Shots, and it's in reference to the young man, Laquan McDonald, who was shot in the back 16 times by a police officer, and there were a bunch of them standing around. And they all supported his report that, no, he was walking toward me and threatening, when he, in fact, when the video surfaced a year later, he was walking away from them. So it became a very hot button point in Chicago. The trial started this week. In preparation for that, they've gone back to do everything to lay out so people understand the context, the framework, and they have an interview with the police officer.
Really?
Yes, they
did it?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Before, right after the fact.
Yeah, but now, I mean, recently, going into the trial, he wanted to have an opportunity. So their work is solid. The anchor of these podcasts is Jen White, and the team is very strong.
That's good.
Very highly produced.
Great idea. Yeah. Steal it. All right. Dan Lothian.
So I have a rave for several news organizations that are being creative in bringing in new audiences to hard news. The Washington Post, BuzzFeed, also Reuters have created channels on this network or this platform that I had not heard about called Twitch. It's a gaming platform where apparently young men, 18 to lower 30s, they spend up to an hour and a half on average playing games.
Every day.
Every day, yeah. This is where they hang out. They interact with each other. They have these conversations. And this is an age group and a sector of society that apparently, according to those who study these things, aren't consuming a lot of good, hard news. And so now these news organizations are creating channels into this platform and streaming things like the presidential news conference or testimony that's going on up on Capitol Hill. Are they going to be able to siphon them off, or are all of these gamers going to pay attention to it? Not necessarily, but already Reuters is seeing an uptick in the amount of attention that they're getting from streaming it there. If you can pick off some of these folks and introduce them to some good quality programming, I think that's a good thing.
How do they do it? So they're gaming away, and then they see a little speech in the corner?
So they're channels that...
they say, oh, that looks more fun than shooting somebody.
Or it comes inside the game. Yeah. No, they're channels. So while you're gaming or in between games, you can click over and follow a channel. But the interesting thing about this is it's not only just a one-way thing. You can have a conversation with them, not only through the comment section, but also through on camera. You can actually talk to someone, and they can communicate with each other. So good engaging.
I'll try it next time I'm on that. I'm on
Twitch.
You're
gaming?
When you're gaming
tomorrow morning.
Mike, good
yeah, I got a rave, and it is for Congressman Billy Long of Missouri, a Republican. You may have seen him earlier this week at the House Energy and Commerce Committee. There was a protester. Jack Dorsey, the head of Twitter, was testifying, and there was a protester, and Billy Long happened to be an auctioneer in his former life. I don't know if you saw it, but take a look.
What's she saying? I can't understand her. What?
Steal the election. That is why you're censoring and shadow banning.
How about it in? 12 and a half, 15, 7 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 5, 7 and a half, 30. Yeah, but a 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. We're selling the cell phone there. 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. Hit 4 and a half, 475, 505, 5 and a quarter, 5 and a half. I yield back.
I mean,
he yields back his time.
Stole the storyline.
He stole the storyline, and that's exactly what my rave was going to be. Not only did he shut down the protester and lay further the groundwork for his post-congressional career, going back to auctioneering, but for the moment, he stole the storyline and put the attention back on this committee and toward the committee, and so I just thought he did a masterful job.
Looking at a lot of the faces there in the audience, a lot of them didn't seem to realize what was going on.
They didn't understand what was going on at all. That was part of the beauty.
Nobody was humorless.
Yeah.
until he stopped. And then
That was good stuff.
Then there was praise.
I'd have given him a rant.
I loved it. All right, well, I have kind of a double rant for the New Yorker. First, for inviting Steve Bannon, the former White House operative, largely known as a white supremacist, to their annual, the symposium where they have all these prominent people. And then they disinvited him some 24 hours later because people like Jim Carrey said they weren't going to come. But I give them a rant for disinviting him, too. If they thought he was viable, prominent, had enough to say that people would want to hear in the first place, why would you disinvite him 24 hours later? Just because a couple of, frankly, B-level people decided that they were going to, Judd Apatow and Jim Carrey weren't going to come?
I agree with you completely. There was nothing about the reaction that they couldn't have anticipated.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a big outcry, but they knew they were going to get a big outcry.
And he would have been the biggest draw.
Well, I guess he would have.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Bigger than
Yeah.
Jim Carrey, you think?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
What's Jim Carrey going to talk about?
Yeah.
All right, I don't know.